once again suits Mkers, right? Outsiders, as Demo mentioned, do not change. They are rigid. They are very firm in what they do. They might change out the bans, and the Ying getting banned away, not a surprise to me at all. But wise words, the strong reed will bend in strong wind. Outsiders are so rigid, if Mkers put that same pressure on them, they might just crumble. And on the desk, I made a prediction saying last time these two met, I thought it would be a Mkers 2-1. Oh, I'm going to say maybe a little bit more bold this time, Gibby. I think Mkers take this series 2. I've got complete confidence for this underdog storyline.
See, I think the storylines in this one's great because either way, one of these sides run with a chance of making SI. Will Mkers, with that core 3 players of the roster, get back? Or will we see 4 of the 5 players who played in the last Invitational final making their way into the big game one more time? Well, the one thing I will say is what we seen yesterday in Outsiders, we saw the best and the worst of them. We saw Shepard have a day and a half at times, but against Secret, when Secret set up those good defensive walls, whenever they didn't get too aggressive, whenever they didn't feed into the Outsiders playstyle, Outsiders didn't really have a plan B. So let's see if they can get the adjustment going today. You say the map pool suits Mkers. I always think you learn more in defeat than you learn on attack, and I think Outsiders may just make a couple of tweaks going into this one.
I think they'll certainly change their playstyle here on Chalet. They'll be aware of what Mkers do, but to build into this, Mkers are a way more flexible team. We've seen them go from being hyper-structured to hyper-aggressive. They can make that swap, that change, that adjustment. So the question is how that will feel here in an exact rematch. It's deja vu. 24 hours ago, these two teams locked horns on this map exactly, and on the second map as well in this series. So who's learnt their lessons? And, okay, I was about to say it, Dora has 6'd away from the Grim to that Lion. And for the lineup-wise I'm seeing here, this is a very common lineup from Mkers. They've swapped away from the Yawn to the Sledge, and that's going to be directly to D with that castle getting brought out in the hands of Joystick. Good adaptations made, at least in that pick phase, but I'm curious to see how this round plays out, and the opening engagements will be a factor I will track very heavily in this one.
Yeah, no Capital either this time. We saw them bring it on this exact site last time around, and it got them a lot of success. But as you tend to see when you go on this map, you will get a couple of players on window, but Lion being there already, and I get the feeling this is going to be an aggressive start here from Mkers. Utility being dumped in the window. We've got 2 players at one point on Repel, and now they're going to switch on over to that Solar window. Only 30 seconds in, but I think Mkers are making the early intentions clear. They're pushing from Solar side. They're taking Master. They are not even going to go near Library unless something changes in the initial plan.
The issue with this, though, is that Solace down below. That's not Joystick. It's going to be Dan on the Solace. It's going to be difficult to get information, clear them out, and this castle barrier is slowing down Mkers again. Good read from Outsiders, realizing that, alright, the Italian side were very aggressive when we played this map last time around, let's slow it down. Sorry, down below is aware of a threat and some presence inside of Trophy. That doesn't matter. Dan can gather a lot of information on that Solace scanner and just knows where the threat's arriving from. Oh, Shepard! Oh, he doesn't see the nade at his feet, but we know it's there. And he's left indeed, in sight all alone. Opening pick, half goes to Mkers.
It's going to be difficult to get the res on the Shepard, though, with a player playing on Master Window, and Gemini is going to confirm that one out, so it is a 5 versus 4. Pasha fighting for his life in Bathroom, but he's going to get taken down by Akwi as Mkers are really on the move. Dan has dripped all the way into basement to try lock in this Buck, who's still playing below, as he knows that it is essentially a 4 versus 3 back on site, but at some point he will need to fall back.
Buck's job right now, Gibby, is to stop the retake. That's all it is. He's not there to do anything. He's not there to displace anyone. You cannot go up Solar Stairs anymore. Sorry has that on lock, and Dan, every second he wastes here, he can't deny the plant. He's the Solace, and it's gonna go down. It's gonna be a very tricky retake now, but Joystick will get one. He finds Dora. Dan needs to try and find a way up, but he's got to go the long way around. Is Sorry still in a position to cover him. Dan, though, gets caught out by that Buck, leaving Joystick all alone in the 1 versus 4 post-plant situation, and it doesn't last long. Akwi finds it, and Mkers, well, they start off as they mean to go on once again, taking the opening round, this time with more players alive against Outsiders.
Still, same result though. Makers with a 1-0 lead, taking top floor, forcing outsiders to change direction. They're going to drop on into kitchen dining this time around. But what I liked about that was Makers had a plan A and they went hard for it. You got Buck down below, as you said, watching any attempt at a retake, pushing up through Solar stairs. You get the two players taking control of Solar. Once you clear the player inside of bathroom, and that was Pasha, that plant is on, and they took full advantage. So we move on to the second round. Another site, down in kitchen, we're holding control of master bedroom and bathroom and solar is very, very important. You hold that for as long as you can, and then you fall back just to delay any attack. Because, as you know what, but if anyone tries to just go for a horizontal push, you can get them from kitchen if they vault in through trophy. If they try to just go in through main lobby, you can play the revert back on the attacking side. So you need to force the attackers out of this section of the map if you want to get a good attack going.
Yeah, I mean, this site is a difficult one to break down in concept because you can go horizontally, but you have to clear vertical, so then you have to worry about that and a massive pressure on flank watch. Dan's going to go attempt a spawn peek, and a little bit out of character for outsiders very early, but I think they're trying to match aggression with aggression, but no one's even close. No one's even spawning in the target area. And look at how Makers set this up. No wasted time, no extra thought process about it. It is so clinical. They want to get top floor control. Look how rapid they do it. All right, they'll burn everything they need to do, but that's going to be a wonderful angle set up from Pasha. Denies that window from the vertical play down below, and that's a massive blow. You've lost Dora, and you lost that Gone 6 that you were going to use to open up that castle barrier, and you've somewhat played your hand. You told them what they're going to do, so Makers, plan B, what's it going to be?
Yeah, well, they're going to send Sorry back in towards Big Garage again, just to see if there's any attempted roam on all three floors by this defending side. But it looks like they're still going to push on taking top floor. The one thing the player on master bedroom window knows, you've got the Nomad on basement, you've got the Nomad on the main double door. You should be safe from any form of run out whatsoever. It's just a matter of not forfeiting your life too early on. You want to just make sure that the attacking side knows you're there without giving them an opportunity to get a shot. Always is going to get taken down by Lalo, who pushed on up through those main stairs, and now he's got a chance at maybe getting another shot onto Pasha, who rotates this way back into sight, but Makers getting aggressive again. They've brought it back to a 4v4.
They've left Joystick alone now, so the only player upstairs is going to be Joystick, and he's in a pretty vulnerable position. One player in the bathroom balcony, one player can walk up mezzanine, and one holds him from Solar, and he's held from the window. Joystick has no way out. He has to fight and play his life. Shepard's got a wonderful C4 lined up right below that window, and he'll spawn it, but it's, nearly tossed too deep, but that's given Joystick a lifeline. The window's no longer covered. He can rotate around that position, and Makers cautious of someone walking up and trying to flank them. A slow process of meleeing down that castle barrier, and that's just going to be vital seconds gone from Makers. Outsider setup works absolutely perfectly, but still not out of the woods. They still have to worry about this clear. Joystick falls, verticality is gone, and that execution gets a lot easier.
Huge C4 that was, and they're still trying to take vertical control now with Joystick still playing inside. Master Head will be revealed, and Aqua's able to find that one. 3 versus 3. Look at the operators that you still have standing. You've got Ash, Sledge, and Buck. If you need 3 operators to make you some vertical, you don't get much better than this. And now the work begins, but with only 28 seconds to go, they may just be forced to try make something happen.
Outsiders didn't make hurt. Outsiders had nothing set up. They weren't trying to play this for a post plan. This was all just a roam game. This was just a time delay, Gibby. They had no intention of staying here much longer. And well, you said time's going to be a problem, and Shepard will get one Delalo second in the round, but Aqui finds an instantaneous trade, and it's going to be a problem. Here comes Makers, but Pasha calms the nerves, gets one more, leasing it all down the Sorry. He's got a skeleton key, but he can't pick the lock. Outsiders get themselves level.
Pasha with the big play, getting himself a double to end the round, and it forced Sorry to try find the kill. Really good play by Pasha, but for a second, Makers managed to open the back door and make their way into the site. So we move in to round 3. And in reality, this could easily be 2-0 to Makers at this point, but fair play Outsiders for just holding their nerve, and do not underestimate how big those 2 picks on Master Window were for Outsiders winning that round as well. The C4 was absolutely perfect as it went through the beams out the window and got the kill. And let's not mention the fact that Lion was taken out while trying to remove that castle as well early on. Those 2 picks were huge for Outsiders.
It is, as you said, you can't even really describe how big they were. That round, I think goes to Makers if they were able to keep those players alive. Look what they were able to do, right? Realistically, in a 4 versus 3, they managed to clear joystick, take setup, take vertical, and then get picks on site and left it down to a 1 versus 1. It came down to Pasha making kind of a, not a superhero play, but just, you know, a bit of a vigilante play, gets the job done. But that was very close. Narrow margins, yes, you're level, yes, you're back equal, but for Makers, take the positives out of that one. Okay, let's be careful how we deal with that big window on that attack again. And from Outsiders' perspective, I like the fact that they had no vert setup. They decided to waste an extra second. They had no intention of playing to deny plant, as you know, Makers weren't probably going to go for that execution towards dining.
Yeah, it was really well played by Outsiders, and now we move back to the top floor, a site that Makers have played pretty well on against the side. So can they do it again? Once again, you got to get those pieces in the position. You get Lalo on this rappel so he can cover any player rotating through solar or bathroom. At least watch it for a little bit. You've got Dora on the window rappel as well, and you've also got a player down inside Big Garage. So again, it's heavily set up in the early stages to try take it from the Solarium side. Now you look at the utility that they have. Lion, those scans will stop usually those defenders in place for a little bit of time. You've brought Nomad again, so you're stopping anybody from running out onto your players playing inside of basement. And then you've got Iana, you've got your nades, you've got your Buck who can open up those soft walls if needs be.
Opening pick, that's going to be Pasha. Hero of the previous round, gone very early. Sorry is aware that Solace of Dan is hunting him, but spots it out, so Dan for the time being will just kind of exist. He'll retake towards kitchen and dining, and once again, it looks like its Makers are going for a very similar approach. They're always a little bit spread out to try and defend this bathroom balcony, but no one's dropped onto it yet, so heavy solar presence. You can't retake those solar stairs unless you clear the Buck down below. That's going to be the job of Dan, but he's going to be focused on stopping that plant going down. Hatches open, good adaptation. They can stop big window repels. So everything is now vocalized on these windows in solar. They need to push on in, and this is a problem. You've just lost joystick to that double window. Gemini finds a huge pick, and this is a problem. Shepard takes a beating, and Makers, they're knocking on the door, and they might just knock that door right down.
Yeah, you win this one now, you're going to win the game potentially, but it is going to be a trade, so it's a 2 versus 3. Dan and Always up against Dora, Gemini, and Sorry. Dora has the diffuser, Always is going to push around. Dan still playing below to try attempt to stop any plant from going down, but you still got to be careful of the Buck. So Makers are just biding their time. They're rotating Buck actually up onto those Solarium windows, and in reality, with the fact you've got the Solace below and now that camera's in place, the only real safe place to plant is on top of that bed, and is it really safe if you even try to do it there? Dora in position. Solace gets the scanner out. Buck is in position, just sneaking down to try stop Solace from pushing back on up. Here's the gunfire, but we're inside the final 15 seconds now. The plant is going down. Dan spots it out. He goes to try to shoot through the floor, but he gets it wrong. But he will get the kill on the Sorry. The plant is down. Always is out. And it's all down to Dan in a 1 versus 2. As he pushes up through Solarium stairs, there's a player holding from bathroom side. Dan needs to isolate these two players, make them play as two individuals and not a team if you want to win the round, and he is hard on the hunt. But this is a tough position to be. 16 seconds if he really wants to get this case to stop going down. Going to give away his position, goes to pick the player inside sight, gets the kill on the Dora, but he's only got 10 seconds left alive. And we're going to see the gunfight come out. Gemini gets the kill, and that'll be a 2-1 win for round win for Makers. And you got to say, on top floor, they have Outsiders' number.
They do. And the real thing I like about this is look how flexible Makers are. There's so many points in these rounds where little things go wrong. They have to make changes. All right? They realize that Dan's not going to get aggressive. He's going to play down below. I think... yes, he didn't plant, the Lion didn't plant on the bed, but that was to bait out Dan to engage the counter defuse, so then you could have Sorry take that and force that into stop the plant or stay alive fight. Dan chose wrong, fought Sorry, lost the fight, won the fight, then the case goes down, nearly wins that postman, always goes down off on the other side of the map. Huge round for Makers, huge read, and honestly, massive props to them. They are playing beautiful Siege. Once minor things go wrong, they make a small change, and it's a constant tug of war with Outsiders. They're showing them the respect they need to, but at the same time, they're playing their own game.
Yeah, and Dan was a little unlucky too. You know, He just chose the wrong side of the bed to fire on whenever the plant was going down. You know, you stop that case from going down in that scenario, you win the round there too. But it's little things like that that can be the difference between a round win and round loss. Now, one thing to point out, there is a frost. There are frost mats out there. We have seen what happened yesterday with both of these teams at times.
No, let's not remind ourselves. I think that was some of the most perfect frost mat placement we've ever seen yesterday.
Synchronized. You'd say it was a synchronized frost mat when you look at the way the players jumped in.
I mean, also, you think about the secret game on Theme Park where I perfectly predicted Stibin would wander himself into an off-site frost mat, you know? So I'm not...
W-Tech.
Oh, am I the Grim Reaper of frost mats? It's going to be sorry. It's going to be sorry. Sorry's going to walk himself into a frost mat somewhere. And if that's right, I really should stop kind of naming people for the Grim Reaper.
So now, look, we'll see Mkers go to get to work. You bring the Flores to try clear away any of the utility that's on top library stairs. That's where Dan will currently set himself up. You look at the utility they have. They have nades that they can use. You've got Flores. You've got a lot of flashes and stuns that you can use to just clear out any utility in position as well. And there's the catbolt to move Joystick out of position and give themselves maybe a possible avenue of entry in. Another bolt fired, and that'll be Gemini picking up the pieces as he's able to find that kill. Dan eats a chunk of damage as well as he contests this fight onto the window, but Mkers are playing very, very well structured teamwork, or like team siege in the early stages of this game.
It's masterful. The way they're playing, they have complete control, right? There's nothing outsiders can do in this position, right? They have complete information, they're being pressured, they're feeling uncomfortable. Mkers are not getting challenged here. Gemini just misses another one. You'd be feeling unfortunate about that one, and Pasha gets one. That's very important. So he's able to get one pick back. That's a lifeline. They get themselves level. Down and always on low HP as well. Not a single bullet landed for outsiders in this round, bar for that magazine dumped by Pasha. And lots of time for Mkers to continue to pick this defense apart.
Yeah, by getting that kill, you've secured Dan's position for a little bit longer on that shield as well. And it forces Sorry to now be the one to try to move up here. But utility isn't really there to clear that shield anymore. Now, if you do get rid of that mute jammer, it will pop the Flores and get rid of that shield. But with the time being the way it is, there ain't much left to play with. Outsiders, by getting it back to a 4v4, even though they've taken a beating so far with it, they're still in a very good chance to win this round. Oh well, Lalo just reduced it.
Lalo vaults in, finds himself a little bit of luck and gets that pick. Akwi's going to be in deep. But Lalo gets one more. He'll go hunting. Couldn't find a third in rapid succession, but Dan on low HP and Shepard's still alive. And that's the problem. If Dan gets this pick, it's all but over. You'd imagine 15 seconds, Gibby. And the Frost, he'll wait. In close quarters proximity, Lalo, you're in a must-win, but I don't think he has any intention. He's going to try to hold the cross, but there's Shepard, gets one a triple, but it doesn't matter. Akwi finds the last pick of the round, and Mkers get themselves that 2-round advantage. They're just too clinical, Gibby. They're just too good.
Even the way they pinched there, they took on their ones, they lost 2 players because of it, but the way that they engaged with that one by coming down blue, going in the window, you revealed the positions, and yes, we've got ourselves a timeout with it.
So let's be fair, this is a battle-hardened roster, you know? So the core of this team, a good few of them, you know, they went against G2 and played 22 rounds of Coastline. I mentioned that before. This is a problem, as they have already decided 5 rounds and 4 played rounds, it's time. We need to change what we're doing. Mkers are in complete control. Momentum's all in their favor. You've got a feeling if outsiders don't change something drastically, it might just be a little too late.
I have to agree with you. I don't like agreeing with you, but I feel like I have to in this one.
Sometimes it's undeniable, Gibby. Sometimes I have good takes.
Sometimes. Not
Rarely.
all the time.
Rarely.
Sometimes. But it is outsiders. We need to remember that. It's Shepard, Dan, always in Joystick. And they've been joined by Pasha, who has popped off many a time in the past. And just because they're 3-1 down does not mean that they don't claw their way back onto this one. You just feel like they need to win this round. You took your time out. You need that instant bounce back. And the way that they won this site last time was by securing master bedroom window again. They locked down the corridor with the castles. They're not changing anything whatsoever on the defense. And Dora, if you play the bees, he's threatening to play the bees.
Right. Will he? won't he?
Just let's not talk about it until it's locked.
We've already mentioned it, Gibby. We've already mentioned it. There's no way. He's locked it in. All right. So Grim in play here in the SI LCQs. Yeah, there he is. We all know he's a subpar operator, but it's Capital, but worse. That's an easy way to say it. So how will they utilize it? Clearly, they brought it in purpose. They swapped out from a Capital, so they have a very distinct purpose for this operator and this utility, or they're just feeling supremely confident.
Well, you got the extended barrel on the 5.52 now as well.
Got a flashy on it.
Oh, I see that. But look, maybe he can be the Reaper. Maybe Grim could be the Reaper this time around. I think post-plant, he can be pretty effective. If you get that case down, you can, get a real beat on where those defenders are playing. But in reality, for him to have a real impact, you need to use him. He is a real gadget operator. We spoke about it yesterday with some other operators inside the game. I think it was Sens we were talking about. Very situational.
Yeah, I mean, especially in Grim's position again, with having to face check to utilize your utility, that's a bit of a problem. Pasha, early damage done to him. And again, look at how they're utilizing this, right? They've got the buck down below, they spotted the bulletproof camera that they need to clear, and they're going through like 2 different floors. They're using it very smart, just using Sorry to open up the floor, clear what utility he can from this, and he's really in no danger for anyone. No one's in... Right, okay, boys, Makers, at the default camera! You've got to shoot them, you gotta do the basic things, right? You've got to bring Grim, at least shoot your defaults.
It's one of the easiest things to make a mistake on as well. Everyone kind of thinks someone else will do it, but I'll tell you what, they may not be shooting cams, but they're shooting members of Outsiders. Dan is going to fall now to inside Piano. Akwe will wrap around and clean up Solace. It's a 5 versus 3. Always is trapped in behind half wall right now. His only real avenue of exit is if he punches a wall in behind or takes on this gunfight with the players playing inside of Piano. You've got your buck locking any retreat down through, but Pasha does find a kill as he takes down Gemini. Akwe will confirm out Shepard, so now it's into a 4 versus 2. I love the way Makers are taking map control. I love the way they're forcing Outsiders into making mistakes, but Pasha!
Knew it was coming. It was a perfect lineup, and we've not seen the Grim utilize the Pasha. Oh, below you's not safe, and nor's above you. Akwe gets that, and look who's all alone. It's always, what can you do? 1 versus 3. 30 seconds. The drone network of Makers seemingly just too strong, but they're not yet on site. Do they know that this isn't sight? Perhaps, as always, we'll get 1. 20 seconds. This is a problem, and, well, doesn't matter.
Well, not really. Not really. I think the one thing that's impressing me, though, and Outsiders, they're reacting to the way that Makers play, but the way they're reacting is the way that Makers want them to. They're being forced into taking these 1v1s. They're being forced to being moved into positions, and they're falling back in a way that Makers always have a player watching their retreat from. You speak about the mistake, about them not getting rid of the default cam a little bit earlier. Didn't really matter at the end of the game, but while we were talking about that, they got full solar control. They droned out the fact that there was a player hiding inside of the closet, and they were able to take that 1v1 and get the kill. From that point on, you have to react and move and try to maybe take some control again on the side of Outsiders. And Makers at that point win the numerical advantage with the players in positions that they were in. It's just impossible to retake.
Yeah, I mean, so we're actually just right now in a pause. And I was curious why Dora was just on drone watching that flank. It's something, some technical issue has occurred to him. So it wasn't some whimsical decision in his play, but
maybe his seat wasn't working. Maybe that's why he was standing up there for a second.
But I mean, well, Kendra deployed a standing desk at boot camp.
That's true.
Maybe that might be the secret to become, the absolute go.
Was that an intentional pun?
No.
So it wasn't the secret. Kendra wasn't, deploying the secret.
No. He had the secret recipe, though.
Yeah.
He was cooking something up spicy. They're in the final, of course. So they'll play the victors of this match. But Makers 4-1 lead. They've looked dominant on the offense once again. Now, this is kind of reminiscent of how they played yesterday on this map up against Outsiders, funny enough. They were very dominant on the offense, and they began to slip away during their defense. They let Outsiders in. We talked about it. The Death spoke about it. Outsiders are a rigid team. When we go to that side swap, and we'll see Outsiders be likely to pick up a couple of rounds to their name, that's when you need Makers to be fluid, adaptive, mix things up, change it up, Because Outsiders, they'll do the same thing every single round, and if you can make them stall, you are going to be a problem. Look how Secret dismantled them on Border. They made it a nightmare. They got so in the head of Outsiders on Border that they were scared to get in the building, scared to repel because you had Savage and Grubby running out every window possible. Well, you can't do that on Chalet. Makers need to find a way to disrupt the flow and make Outsiders try and adapt and change, because realistically, that's the weak aspect of this team.
I love Outsiders. I love these guys. Like I said, to me, they're all in the history books of Siege already. But the one question about them was they struggle at times maybe to adapt during a game. And we need to see that from them here in this map, because you're about to lose Chalet a game, potentially, with the way Makers are playing on attack. And I want to see them change something up, get a little bit more aggressive, get into the faces of those Makers players. The one round that you won is because you engaged with the players on that master bedroom window, and they did it really well.
Yeah. I mean, they're obviously, this is a team full of the greats, right? Shepard has so far kind of rolled back the years, playing kind of how we remember him in that glory. But there's also this aspect that the core of this team, lost the 6th Invitational Final TSM, and TSM then decided to not play for stages 2 and 3 in NAL. So there's I don't have my rose-tinted goggles. I love the guys. I absolutely love this side. But I have to say, I think they're just too rigid for the type of CG play. They are really struggling in this climate. Secret showed it. Secret exploited it. Makers are doing the same thing. Now, can Makers continue that here on Chalet? That's the question. And Clubhouse, that's going to be a scary prospect, because that's realistically a map Outsiders we know we're strong on, because they picked apart Makers on it. But that's the map I'm very curious to see. I think Chalet should be in the history books for Makers in 2 or 3 rounds' time.
Well, 3 minimum. 3 minimum.
Exactly.
Maths. But yeah, looking at the way things are going, you're going to go on to defense after this. I do think Chalet is a map where, as an attacking team, you do feel like you can find some success. But for Outsiders, in order to do that, you need to start winning some rounds on defense to put yourself in that opportunity to win this game. But as you said, we're going to Clubhouse after this one, and it is a map where Outsiders historically are pretty strong. They've been playing that map for years. The question is, if we end up in a tie after 2 maps and we have to go to the 3rd map, it is a bit of a toss-up from there on. Like, Makers banned the map that they thought that they were strongest on Bank because they lost it to Outsiders yesterday. So if we do go to that 3rd and final map, where are you lying with your, which of these teams do you think are in the better position to win that?
I think Cafe suits Makers. It suits them through and through. It's a map that kind of allows teams to be aggressive. On the defensive side, you can fight people very aggressively. You can stop them getting in the building. You can get in their face. It's a map that requires a level of fluidity. It's difficult to be as rigid. And I think yesterday on Bank, we saw Makers suffer to that. Yes, there was kind of the comedic comparison to their Challenger League game against 10 Star, where the same post-plant denial setup didn't work, and there was a couple of mistakes on their side. But the structure, that map relies on being able to clear space effectively, get map control effectively, and you can kind of go through the motions, do the same things or very similar things time and time again. And we all know that suits Outsiders. That's what this team loves to do. So map choice, not their finest, but they were confident on it. Cafe, it's going to be a map that's going to test and challenge Outsiders and really force players like Joystick, Dan, Shepard to use, Mapasha, actually all of them, to use their mechanics way more than that routine kind of in-structure pattern that they love to follow.
Outsiders, though, the core 4 players that rostered, they have a history on Cafe. In the past, it's a map they like to go to as well. So I think it's more of a toss-up. I know that you think it suits Makers. To me, I think that map would truly be a 50-50 between these two sides. I thought that Chalet, I thought the Makers would probably win this being their pick, but at the same time, I thought that it wouldn't have been this one-sided on attack. Like, Makers have looked very, very good so far. They've already forced Outsiders to take their tech timeout. Their tactical timeout. The only good thing I think for Outsiders is, even though you can't talk to your coach during a technical timeout, which is what we're in right now, they can talk to each other. They can say, right, what is going wrong? Can we, as 5 players, adjust what we're doing to stop Makers? Because this is their last round on defense. Mm-hmm. If you're Outsiders, this is your last chance to win on the, in brackets, favored side.
I was just going on. So I've looked at, and we can see the player cams. Dora is on a mission right now. He's trying to get his headset or something working. It's pretty fun to see this. I mean, we look at the stoic faces on outsiders. You know, they're not worried about it. They're calm. They're relaxed. I mean, I can't see Shepard. He's relaxed. He's laid back. Can't see him.
Would you argue that Dora is Explorer in the way to try fix his PC right now?
He's been exploring. I mean, I've seen several different peripherals arrive. Mm-hmm. He's figuring it out. He'll get there. That's what I said.
What are the benefits of being in a team house?
That is true. I mean, not all of them are there, of course. I mean, you recently spoke to Dora. I mean, only two of these players of Makers are together in the same team house. Just trying to. I mean, that's a nice bit of chemistry with the coach. We spoke about the value of having kind of that camaraderie and benefit of boot camping, being prepared with the team. We'll go on and on about Secret, but they've kind of been the main characters of this qualifier so far. How they're all in boot camp right now. All of the team are together. They've got their support staff of Twister there with them, and it shows they're playing confident. They're playing really well together. You know, and Makers have done a pretty similar job so far. They've been really good at that level of teamwork and coordination.
Mm-hmm. Well, as Dora said, there's two of them in the house. It's him and Sorry, and it's mainly because of some of the connection issues they have back at home. The other three members of the team, the core three of Gemini, Akwi, and Lolo, the core that went to SI, they prefer to play from home. Some people like their own setup, but I think for Sorry and Dora, it really has helped them to gel together as players and help them, work inside the team as well. They spoke, I think they'd been to the W7M house in Brazil, and they said that that's next level again with the way that team house works. But there's a reason why teams bootcamp. There's a reason why teams like having team houses, and it's, as you said, building chemistry, building camaraderie. If you're friends with your teammates and you genuinely get on with them, you're going to look after each other a little bit more as well, I think, inside of the server. And, you watch each other's back a little bit more, maybe subconsciously. Maybe I'm completely wrong and talking,
I think
talking nonsense.
But I mean, we've not been to a boot camp. We spoke to Tristan,
Mm-hmm.
before and after. Then Rogue, now Koi, went to boot camp before the Berlin Major, and it was way more about kind of that getting kind of that camaraderie, that brotherhood kind of around the team. And they barely scrimmed. I mean, they said that they didn't scrim in preparation for it. I'm sure they got a one or two in there. But I mean, it's about that connection, and you can see teams that have that level. And I'm really impressed with how Makers have been playing in this one. The coordination, their adaptability, they're able to instantly know that, okay, plan A's went a little bit wrong. Those big window moments, for example, and they're instantly on the plan B. They're instantly adapting, instantly changing. And I mean, that's the name of the game right now. It's all about being a flexible team, being able to change on the fly, adapt, and be reactive. Kind of to circle back, that's the big critique I would say of outsiders so far, is how reactive can they be when their overall style of play is just a little bit more rigid.
And if you were trying to maybe show off some of the teams that you think are the best out there when you're looking at reactive styles of play, like who do you think sets the tone these days? I know for me personally, back during the Charlotte Major, DZ were very good at reacting to changes. And that comes from experience. Canadian, one of the best IGLs, one of the best of all time for a reason. But is there anyone out there that you think is setting the tone right now when it comes to that reactive style of play?
I'd have to say, BDS or Likafak has been brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
He's on a kind of a second entry role. He's IGLing. The team's got really reactive really quick. They won in the Sweden Major. They were brilliant, absolutely fantastic. And they kind of similar back to the Charlotte Major. Astralis, yes, they went through some roster changes, but that time, that stage one Astralis were very good at being adaptive, mixing things up, being a little bit different. They were, I used to call them a proper gunfighters team because they would run a lot of aggressive styles of play. Like they bring a Thorn when she wasn't relevant in the meta, and they would just use those Razor Clams to try and take fights, and they were very much challenging teams in that to react to them. But you don't have to listen to us waffle too much longer, because I've got a wonderful news, Gibby. Do you want to break it to everyone?
Yeah, we got to push the button. We got to push that caster start game button. Easy, thank you. Easier. I need to actually find out, is it easier medics today? Both those guys are absolutely goated at their craft. But so are these players. We've got 10 players going head-to-head. Makers are currently leading 4-1. And we've had our tech pause. Is that tech pause going to upset the momentum that had been built by Mkers? That's the real question.
Ooh, it has potential to do so, especially considering that the tech issue came from their side. They were trying to resolve it. You know, you can imagine, you know, if, you know, you're playing, you know, your mouse has died, your headset's died, you're going to get a little bit flustered in the moment. So, time, mental reset, and yeah, momentum in this game's a little bit reset. It's kind of back to square one for these teams. And funny enough, we're back to the site that we first saw them go head-to-head on. And I've seen a small little change. We saw on the barbed wire now deployed on that rappel. So if you rappel into a window, you're slowed down for a brief moment. That might give outsiders just a little bit of early warning. Someone's done it. If you don't give a rappel, and slow them down enough. Because when Mkers go for that execution, they're so fast.
Slows them down, gives you the audio cue. Looking at the kit that they're taking with them, they don't really have, you know, apart from maybe Ash, they don't really have much utility to get rid of it. Yeah, look, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of the bees. Save the bees.
I don't know. I think it's so hard for me to justify it because I have not seen inside of this tier 1 level of play like Grim be effective, you know?
Do you want a secret, or do you want to know something?
What?
The round that they won with Grim, they didn't actually use the bees.
I know. I called it out before we got into it that he hadn't used it. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, he might be effective down where you play in those trenches. That 0.4 lifestyle.
0.45 now.
Oh,
actually.
you're making gains, Gibby.
We're making gains. I'm under Fresh and Jacker's tutelage right now.
That's all you need. That's how you get a real stack going.
Someday Demo might let me play with him.
Oh, never. You have to pass the demo test for that one. He's an FPL. He's an FPL connoisseur now. He's moved on from the rank trenches. So, we're a minute kind of passing this round, and Grim has deployed the bees. Right, so they've been sent, and that's towards Closet, and that's towards all of Master Bedroom. And this is interesting, because it's cleared a lot of space, and to me, this telegraphs that's exactly where they want to plant. So they want to have no one towards that Master Bed itself, and then directly try and force pressure. This second wall, on this double wall facing Solar, has been left soft as well, to not give as much cover to anyone once they enter Solarium. So outsiders making appropriate changes, and I like this from them. They're not sticking with the same thing, but Akwi has perfect information when she's going to get caught. Double ADS, and so they can't nade the player out of Closet, but they know he's there.
Yeah, and that's one nade gone, though. You don't really have... You've only got one left, and you need to burn utility if you want to remove that player from position. So the swing in comes. It's perfectly synced with the swing of that sledgehammer to get rid of the barbed wire. So you've got a player in the building. There's only 55 seconds left on the clock, so you're running a little bit behind schedule now. Akwi will get in position just below that default solar cam as he pushes aggressively up to that soft double wall now. Sorry, still playing below as Shepard will start to taste some lead, and Dan's going to be removed from the game. That's now a 5 versus 4. There's only 35 seconds to go, so time is the enemy. Akwi sees time and goes the enemy him just a little bit more as he allows the player to cross. Shotgun potentially in the hand, but a good pre-fire around the corner makes it a 5v3. Ash is holding an angle as well, but there is the trade as Akwi gets himself a double. Tosses the nade to try stop Pasha from pushing back in through, but it's a 4v2, but there is intel alive. Swings around the corner, Pasha's going to get one, doesn't get the second with 13 left to go.
This is key moments, but always gets on the Dora, and the case has gone cold. Sorry, he was down below in 5 seconds. He's the only one that can do anything close to action, and it's going to be the time. It's the Nemesis Mkers falter, and you know what, Gibby? You know what? Outsiders changed, adapted, flexed just enough to get themselves a chain or get themselves around victory. Mkers still lead by 2. They move to the defense now. This is where I'm intrigued. How will outsiders come out of the gates against Mkers' defense? This is where we saw it get a little bit sketchy for the Italian side. Outsiders looked very proficient on this yesterday. This is where I want to see the changes from Mkers and both outsiders as well.
Big thing in that round was Pasha did a little bit of a switcheroo there. You had your Nomad on the window looking towards that bathroom door to protect anybody flying flank from that side. Pasha was able to go into the office, get the kill onto the sledge who had the case inside of sight. Had the Nomad on the window been watching the other rotate through, that round goes in favor of Mkers. So really well played by Pasha. Make a little bit of a noise over by the wall and then push into the site.
Perfect. I mean, it's a a high caliber play from a high caliber player. What can you say? I mean, Pasha has been very round defining so far for Outsiders this weekend. Likely to continue as well, Ackley on the Oryx. Very intrigued to see how this one goes as well. Different approach method getting brought out from Outsiders. Not so heavy towards Solarium. Look like it's going to be a library side execution. And kind of how... Remember, Demo talked about how this team used to play Oregon. Right, back in the day, this is old Oregon as well. Pre-rework Oregon, just to let you know how old it was. And I remember playing it, saying, let's do this strat. It was, let's do the joystick strat. And every time you went big tower, done the same thing every single round. I have a feeling they like a library clear, so we might see a lot of library clears from Outsiders.
Well, Joystick was able to pick up some kills last time down in basement as well when opening that book. I know when we were watching the game, you went speechless at some of the kills he was able to sneak.
Yep.
But they are going to move a couple of players down into basement, and Aqua's going to be moved into the lobby until the next round as he's been taken down by Pasha. Now he can hold the move from Joystick if he decides to push up main stairs. He is going to drone a library. As always, we'll hold another flank. Joystick steps inside, and thank you very much. Aqua picks up the kill, and now he's going to rotate in and around basement. Really good patience, but he is going to lose his head now to Dan, who gets a good refrag back the other way. But now he's being hunted.
For a team like Outsiders, they had such an amazing drone network on some maps yesterday, and then you have moments like that where you've got someone standing, poking their head through a massive rotation made inside of pantry, and they don't know. Just wandered on in. Joystick goes, it's probably clear. Oh, I've died. And now we're 2 players down. Now, good thing they got that trade. Very lucky for them as well. But Mkers in a good position, 4 versus 3. Complete control. And really no members of Outsiders have even touched the top floor yet. And there's not a significant roam presence on this middle floor. 1 player. And they still got West Main camera. That early warning system is there. Well, they might be able to shut this down very quickly as Dan might be in danger at the hands of Dora.
It's a full clear. They're trying to do a full map clear here in order to win the site. Now, Dan puts that Claymore down. Keep an eye on that. Remember that that's there. If you see a Claymore kill a little bit later in the game, it's because a Mkers player tried to go on the flank. Always tries to nade the door, and Gemini won't take any damage from that whatsoever. But Dora is the problem here for Mkers playing in that position inside Trophy.
No information. Nades again tossed with nothing behind it. A fault of Navi yesterday. Yes, you toss in the default position, you expect them to be there, but these grenades are not tactical nukes anymore. You gotta be so precise with them. But Dan's just walked in the piano. And he gives away his position and he loses the fight to Gemini. You've got to win those ones, Dan. Shepard tries to burn that laser gate. And he's not got an easy task. He's got to fight his way through Fluke Pocket over, but always gets one to Gemini. But it's going to be a problem. Timer hits red, Gibby. And it's going to be a flurry of action. Always needs to stay alive. He needs to cover this case. He needs to win this one. And he doesn't do it in time. Shepard dies alone in office. And the round goes to Mkers.
Mkers looking pretty good. Outsiders struggling, and it looks more along the lines of Mkers making a couple of tweaks, playing a very structured, the way that they saw Secret take down Outsiders yesterday, and it's working. It's not really going the way that Outsiders wanted to in these early stages. You're on attack. You now need to win 4 out of the next 5 rounds just to force overtime alone. That is a tough ask against any team whatsoever. You know, we've seen people bill Mkers as, you know, the tier 2 team, the team that plays PG Nats in Italy. But let's be real, 3 of these players have been to SI before. These players are all more than capable of playing inside of tier 1, and they have got a massive fan base in Italy who are watching every single move this roster makes, and they really want them to go through.
I mean, of course you do. National pride of Italy inside of Siege, you know. Teb was the first Italian player that made a tier 1 debut on the roster of Navi. Mkers, though, not going to be playing in the UL, but I tell you what, certainly in good chance of seeing them on an international stage once again. That would be some storyline for them, but of course they've got to get through the rest of this map. Maybe another one, maybe another 2, and then Secret later today. So, again, you know, they might see Montreal on the horizon, but they still haven't got their ticket.
Long way to go, and you're against a very good side if you want to get there. And, you know, as we keep alluding to, you win this game, you still got to get ahead of Secret, the team that rolled yesterday. So, We're 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go inside the round, and Outsiders once again look like they're going for a full clear. You get a player inside of library. It looks like Joystick once again is going to enter down through bottom of the basement, and with that, you're spreading yourself a little bit thin. You know, you go for this, you're trying to take a lot with very little, and it can put yourself in a bad situation if you allow Mkers to isolate those 1v1s.
This is very worrisome. This is very... I mean, Pasha, look how scared he is of getting peeked. You know, he's entered before information, so he would have known, and even then, like... You've tossed... You've tossed... What? Okay, you cleared a shield and opened the hatch, but... Okay, yep. No one was behind it. You had information. Yep.
You're spending too much time with Jackers Whip, but you really are, as Dan sprays through the wall. Oh, if he had just kept firing, he would have found Gemini, who's holding the line towards that enter through Fluke balcony. Lolo still in position, still waiting to take on that 1v1. We say not to let him cook. He had a good start to the game. Don't let the stats deceive you. We did have a rehost, so Shepard now is going to get this breach, but there's a minute left in the round, just over a minute. You've still not taken vertical control. Always finally gets the opener, and now Lolo is going to move to maybe retake bathroom control, but this is a little bit better from Outsiders, but time is the enemy.
Oh, he's cooking!
Oh, close.
Oh, okay. Close. I thought he was about to dish up something special from the chef's exclusive menu with that one. Always looks for a second and spots the player. Doesn't actually see him. Does a little bit of damage. That will be Gemini. He's not loving life right now. It's not a live, laugh, love moment. It's a double run out. Oh, don't peek him again. All he wanted is one. Lolo got it. A little bit catastrophic. A little bit of chaotic moment. Oh! Gemini from the depths emerges. Can't make it too. But surprises and disrupts the flow. Outsiders. 3 players remain, but they've only got 19 seconds, and it's going to be a problem. Lolo nearly loses his life. Every hammer strike, every second, Gibby.
Well, here comes the push. Shepard drops it, and Joystick's going to see his HP fall as Dora finds one. It's a 2v2, but you're being forced to go through this narrow channel to go for the execute. Shepard goes behind the bomb chassis. Joystick gets a little bit aggressive now to hold the flank. Pre-fire around the corner. The one gets taken down by Lolo. Shepard sticks the plant, loses his head. There goes the case. Mkers move to match or to map point. What a round again.
That round right there. That is how you absolutely get in the head of Outsiders. You need to win one more round. You've took the map. But oh my, Gemini laying prone. That half wall below the default camera in Solarium pops up, gets one. He was basically dead to rights, and he had the confidence to go for a second. A double run out of car garage as well. You kidding me? Are you kidding me? Mkers, I love this. I tell you what, who doesn't love it? Outsiders right now on the ropes on map 1.
On the ropes on map 1, but remember, this is Mkers' map pick. We've seen some incredible things. Think back to the last major whip it, where we saw Liquid get absolutely rolled in one of the maps and crawl their way back in to get a victory. So losing your map is not the worst thing in the world. Now, for Outsiders, there's 2 questions now. Can you claw your way back into this one, or can you bounce back on the next map? And I think they can. You know, Clubhouse is a map that I do fancy Outsiders to get a result on. But this is Mkers. They've done it before. They've beaten some very big teams in the past. And they just look downright scary on Chalet.
They're terrifying. I mean, this map doesn't suit Outsiders. It's one of the... Right, Rogue Sceptic Goggles coming off once again. One of the issues that has plagued this roster for essentially all the time they've existed is a limited map pool. You took away the default, you took away Oregon, you took away Clubhouse, you took away... I can't even remember what the other one, but took away their big 3 maps, and they tended to struggle. They were brilliant on them. You didn't want to take them there. They owned them. They had a rampage on them. You'd never win there. But you took them anywhere else, they'd lose. They'd look a little bit lost. And look what's happening here on Chalet, Gibby.
This is better, though. This is good aggression. Pasha entering the building early, getting hot droned in, and he knows that there's a player playing on the other side of that double door, opening up those lines of sight. And there you go, Pasha. Just play it patient to get your kill. Better. Dora gets a little bit too aggressive, playing into the style of play. Sorry is going to fall as well. Outsiders, thank you for waking up at last. This is more like you, as Gemini now finds himself in a 1v5. But once again, you cannot gift Outsiders free kills. Dora tried to make something happen, running outside. Outsiders get the kill. And finally, they're showing a bit of a heartbeat in this one.
Yeah, you remember what happened yesterday? When Makers had a big old lead? And Acri tried to run out Snowmobile as many times as possibly imaginable. Like, they know side's clear now as well. Oh, Frost has shot me main stairs. Go on in. How long will it take down the Shepherd's Heart plan? It's taking a lot.
Longer than you thought, but there you go.
I was like a little bit like, gets one. There's no way, Gibby. There's no way he walks down and through vert kills joystick, right? You can't imagine that. He'll drop lobby and he'll fight him, but he can't win this one, surely.
No.
He does,
well, he
but he
trades
traded. You know, there's no way though. There's no way he wins that one. I just knew.
You don't remember? Do you remember yesterday we were casting the game on club and we were like, "Oh, there's no way that Dan wins this," and he trades as well. I think that's the curse. When we say there's no way someone does something, usually it ends up with that player trading a couple of seconds later. But it's better from Outsiders. You're still on match point. You still got to do it 3 more times in a row. But Makers, you tried something a little bit different that round. Maybe you're just testing the waters.
Attackers need to
Let's go back to what worked. Let's play some structured siege. Let's not peek. And for Outsiders, do the same again. Get aggressive. Pasha getting into the building within 30 seconds with the help of a hot drone. Yes, it's old-fashioned, but it still works.
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, Gibbs, what switch just flipped for Makers? They went, yeah, let's run out, let's get aggressive, let's fight everything, because they played for trades exceptionally well, and they played for them in the right situations, but something went a bit. It was a whimsical round from Makers. I think they'll amend it this time. Don't think they'll be as aggressive. I don't think they'll play into what Outsiders want, and Outsiders are now expecting an aggressive push. So they were aware. They hear an impact go off and they're like, right, what run out is it? And they were reading into it very quickly. You've already tried to spawn peek from library, so yeah, that's not going to work now, right? The wily old dogs of Outsiders know what's up. You're not going to get away with lightning twice.
Yeah, and look at the lineup that Outsiders are taking this time around as well. It's set up perfectly for an old-fashioned tech. You'll get some pressure around the map, but Joystick's get a big gunfight here down in basement. And yes, Akwi, I think you made the right decision, but there's no Iana in place to get the trade. Communication. If there was just a little bit more communication there, Akwi's taken down.
Do you want to know why that fight happened? That's the predictability of Outsiders. Right, last time around, Akwi got that pick on the with Oryx of the Joystick who was booking. Well, it wasn't the same place. He knows Joystick likes to enter Snowmobile. I wonder where I'll go. And guess what? He read it perfectly. So to me, Makers know what's happening. They're clued in, locked in. They know what's coming. But can they do anything about it? Oh, he crosses and nearly loses his head. Dan will find one of the Gemini. And this could be a problem now as well, as we see advantage fading away.
Nade tossed. Nobody going to be hit by this one, but Outsiders do have the numerical advantage again. Akwi's going to go for a full rotate back on the Solarium side, as control is still being garnered by Outsiders on this library side. And Akwi moving up. See, this is where you might see him be tempted to run out, but you really don't want it to happen this time. Sorry, on a big flank up through library stairs as well. No drones, no flank watch.
A drone went past him. He's trying to find it, but they just don't know he's there. He's just going to wait. He's going to be the absolute rat. And he's got yellow pings to work with, and he gets one. That's the problem now. Where's one I popped up? Who knows? Outsiders, how do you read it? And Joystick next to falter. Left in DBNO. Shepherd in close proximity. On a technical 2v4. Can they recover? I think they should be able to, but that'll take time, Gibby. And look at the top of your screen. They've only got 45 seconds to work.
45 seconds, but they've got everybody back on their feet. Always repositions now down into basement, but you know, boys, this isn't the site. They're still trying to deal with Sorry, who's down below, when in reality, Shepard and Joystick need some help on site. So they get back on top of Master Window. Joystick still preoccupied with the fact that Sorry is on the window, gives away his position by getting rid of utility, and they drop the diffuser with 20 seconds left. I think that they might be giving it to Joystick, and that's exactly what the plan is. He's going to go to half wall. Sorry's in position to pick him up, and here comes the plant. Sorry's going to get one, gets the second, triple kill for Sorry, and always is just going to pick up 1 or 2 exit frags. But that is it. GG, map 1 goes to Mkers. The Italian team racing off like a bunch of Ferraris, and they're going to move into the second map, knowing they're 1 map away from a final.
What a performance from Mkers. Same story, same script. They bring it to Chalet against outsiders, and they take victory. They played it perfectly. They played it absolutely brilliantly, Gibby. They looked in complete control the entire way.
They did, and that's what, to me, outsiders always struggle with. Whenever a team puts up a solid, rigid defense, they just struggle with breaking it down. The flank watch wasn't there in the last round. Sorry punished them for it. Really good performance. But look, we're just casters. There's a couple of people up that I think probably want to break down the information a little bit more than we can. What do you think?
Absolutely. So we'll go to a quick break and let the desk break that one down.